Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, anywhere you are. Welcome to all our friends here in the Americas, to our good friends in Asia. We have a lot of friends from Asia in the audience. And of course, our allies and all our friends around the world. My name is Abel Calvo. I am going to be your host today, and it is my honor to be hosting this, the first joint webinar by Front Consulting International FCI and Asia-wide franchise consultants with our good friends from Asia. FCI is a network of franchise business consultants based mainly in Latin America, but also with operations in North America and Europe. We are operating in 22 countries. We also have a strategic alliance for a couple of years now with Asia-wide franchise consultants, which is a similar network to ours based in the Asia-Pacific regions and operations in around 35 countries. This webinar will be a roundtable with some of the members from FCI as well as AFC. I also want to inform our audience that you can submit your questions via the chat tool here in Zoom, and we are going to submit them to our speakers later in the webinar. So I want to begin without further ado. I want to introduce you our friends that are going to be the speakers today, starting with Albert Kong, our very good friend. He's the CEO of Asia-wide franchise consultants and also one of the most respected franchise consultants in Asia and in the world. We also have Setapong Parompiduth, a representative from Asia-wide franchise consultants in Thailand, a good friend of ours. Also, Marvin Da Silva, the representative from AFC for the Philippines. And coming to America, we are going to be joined by Alfonso Riera from Front Consulting Group, based in Venezuela and one of the co-founders of FCI. Going north to Canada with our friend Andre Marocco. He's the representative of FCI for Canada. And last but not least, our good friend Miguel Bravo from DBA, which is one of our representatives in the United States, operating out of Miami. So this is our network. These are our social networks, our social media. I invite you to follow us. Our content is mainly in Spanish, but we're going to be incorporating more and more contents in English and in Portuguese, because our operations also include Brazil and Portugal. So without further ado, I would like to start with the questions for our friends, for our panel. Let me stop sharing the screen so you can focus on our guests. So I would like to see if Alfonso is here. Yes, he's here. So the first question is for Alfonso Riera, who I remind you, from Venezuela, one of the founders of FCI. Alfonso, welcome. Good morning to you. It is early morning here in Latin America and Venezuela. Alfonso, we would like to start with you asking to please give us a brief overview of the franchising business here in Latin America. Go ahead, Alfonso.
Well, hello, and good morning from Caracas, Venezuela. It is a real pleasure to be with all of you and to share this activity with our friends and allies of Asia-wide. Albert Setapong is really a little bit difficult to pronounce for us, and Marvin, and the rest of the well-known partners from the different Latin American countries. Well, talking about Latin America, we just recently updated a general statistic search about the franchise sector in Latin America, before the pandemic, of course. And the numbers were very interesting. There are around 6,500 Latin American franchises in different commercial activities. The countries with the highest numbers of local concepts are Brazil in the first in the top of the pyramid with more than 2,850 local franchises. And then Mexico with 1,100 local franchises. And then Argentina with 950. And then Colombia with 300. And then Peru with 250. Among the total of the 20 Latin American countries, there are only few franchise exporter countries. Only Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina. This last one, Argentina, is the most exporter with around 180 Argentinian franchises operating in other territories. Most of them are located in neighbor territories, which is common at the beginning of the internationalization process. Besides, these most evolved countries in franchises in the region, I repeat, Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina, and also Venezuela used to be before its crisis, are the only where local franchises are higher than foreign franchises. It means that the rest of Latin American countries, the 16 remaining countries, are more importer of concepts and also have more foreign franchises than locals. Even in some countries, such as Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, the percentage of foreign franchises reaches 90%, 90%. And the 90% of these 90% of these concepts are from USA, the United States of America. That is logical, since the United States is geographically close and has a big cultural and economic influence over the region. The second franchise exporter to Latin America is Spain, for historical, cultural, and the language reason. For those, among other factors, we can conclude that Latin America represents a very interesting market for Asian franchises. The region has more than 600 million people. Most of them speak the same language, Spanish. So the translation of the instruments has to be done only one time. The majority of the countries are emerging markets, traditionally importers and buyers of franchises, and our economies want to be diversified, especially in sectors such as health, technology, services in general, education, fitness, elderly people services, food, clothing, on all these sectors where Asian countries has demonstrated that are really good and very specialized. So all good and innovative Asian concepts would be very welcome to be presented to this young and entrepreneurship society such as the Latin American, especially in this hard moment where everybody is worried and looking for new opportunities. All is needed is an effort to cross the proper intercontinental bridges, and Front Consulting and Asia-wide are just beginning to build them together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank
Wait.
you, Alfonso. Yes, thank you, Alexei. Always there to support me when we have technical issues. Thank you very much, Alfonso, for this overview. We are going to come back to you later. Now we go to Albert, to our friend Albert Kong, CEO of Asia-wide Franchise Consultants. Albert, we would like to please provide us with a summary of the relationship of franchising between Latin America and Asia. Thank you, Albert. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna also use a slide. Can you see this slide?
Okay, now give me a second that I have to make you a co-host so you can. Alexei, please make him a Alexei, por favor, ponlo como coanfitrión. For security measures, we only allow co-hosts to share slides. So let's ready. You can do so now.
Can you see the slide?
Not yet. Be sure to use the share screen button at the bottom of the screen.
Yes. Let's see. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, it's coming. Okay, please
Okay.
put it in presentation mode.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. So, you know, this is a very interesting topic. Now, I think I will share a few slides on how the relationship will get better, because I think we all agree that, you know, in Asia, for the longest time, due to the influence of America and the likes of Canada and France, a lot of the franchises in Asia are mainly American. If you were to study the history of franchising throughout the world, whether it is China, whether it's Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, in fact, in Asia, what is interesting is the first country that went into franchising is Japan. And the first few franchises in Japan are the likes of McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, you know. And then as they grow, okay, as the number of American franchises grow in Japan, the Japanese start to copy. And then they came up with Yoshinoya and Moss Burger, you know. And then because Japan was perceived as the most advanced country, at least in the past few decades in Asia, they started to go into Taiwan, you know, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand with their brands, okay? So historically, Latin America hasn't had much presence in Asia. So it is, you know, other than some Brazilian, you know, concepts, just one or two, you hardly see any Latin American brands. Okay, I remember 20 years ago, someone tried to do a Mexican restaurant called Chico's and Charlie's in one of the best spots in downtown Singapore. But, you know, they only had one outlet, and Singaporeans and Asian visitors, after eating the Mexican food, felt that it's not suitable for them because, you know, they don't like ground beef with salsa and the burrito and the tacos. So it's very cultural, you know. But I think more importantly is because, you know, the soft power, what we call soft power is the likes of, you know, Hollywood, you know, and all the songs that are coming out from all the singers in America, you know, and now Korea. Korea has soft power because of their, you know, TV dramas and their boy bands. So the soft power are the very what I call, you know, intangible influences, you know. So, but of course, I believe that every continent will have its day. Latin America will come up. Latin America influence will, you know, become stronger and stronger. And with good Latin American songs and good Latin American, you know, marketing, you know, I think there will be more and more Latin American brands in Asia. Let me just share with you the second slide. Now, as we know, in Latin America, there's a FIAF, and in Asia, there's a APFC, okay? I think maybe there's an opportunity one day for
Albert.
FIAF and
Albert.
APFC. Yes.
Please remember to put it in slide mode, presentation
okay.
mode.
Okay. Can you see this slide?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so this one clearly FIAF and APFC, there is great potential for also these two groups to come into some collaboration. Of course, you know, FIAF, I think FCI can play a big part, you know, and AFC can play a big part, you know, because with more synergy and with more cooperation, I think the number of businesses can increase quite quickly. Now we all know that in the world, the apex of all the franchise associations is the World Franchise Council. Okay, and I've urged many of my partners in Asia to try to be involved with their national franchise associations. Okay, become an EXCO member, and then of course, if you can, become the chairman. Then your influence will be very strong, you know. So I've been urging Satapong in Thailand to be more active in the Thai Franchise Association. I've urged Marvin in Philippines to be more active in the Philippines Franchise Association. Why? Because once we are recognized as the spokesperson for our country, then our standing, you know, with the government officers and with many other associations will be much stronger. With that, we can do more business, you know, right? Okay. Now, I'm gonna just use Brazil just as an example, you know. So here there are 10 countries that are shown, you know, as to where they have so-called Brazilian brands have gone into different countries like United States, Paraguay, and what have you. What is very clear from this chart is, to me, common sense. And I think Alfonso has said something about it. A lot of the brands will go to the neighboring countries first. Why? It's very clear. We all know that franchising is about, you know, cloning ourselves. It's about controlling to make sure that our franchisees, you know, keep to our standards and do things properly. So when you are, you know, a young franchisor, especially when you are still quite inexperienced, it will be crazy for you to immediately have a franchisee very far away. Because by the time you go and check on them, a lot of things would have gone wrong, okay? And that's bad for your reputation, okay? So it's the same in Asia. You know, you'll find that a lot of Asian brands, they will franchise to their neighboring countries first. And with experience, and with more manpower and more money and more, you know, influence, then they go further and further and further, right? So I would imagine that all our friends, you know, in FCI, you know, their customers will first franchise into the neighboring countries, you know, and then once they have more experience and more resources, you know, and more, you know, more bargaining power, and more importantly, more cash and the right people, then they should go further abroad. Yeah. So this is, to me, common sense, and this is proven in many countries. Okay. So I will stop here first. Later, when we let others have a chance to talk, and then later we can come back to my slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you very much. Please stop sharing your screen so we can go back to our other guests. Now, I would like to go north to Andre Morocco from Canada. Andre is our good friend and representative for this beautiful country in the north of our continent. Andre, welcome. It's nice to see you. Our question for you is the next. Given the fact that you have had experience on both sides of the planets, making business in Asia as well as in the American continent, what do you think the potential for doing business between both regions is, especially with regards to Latin America? Okay, let me turn on your microphone. Okay, yeah, there, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Can you hear me all? Excellent.
Yes, perfectly.
I'll hang up my phone. I was using my phone for a moment, but probably better with the computer. So yeah, good morning and thank you for the question. Just a little bit about Canada and Australia. They're very vibrant franchising markets. They say Canada is the second largest franchise sector in the world and hosting over 1,300 brands. Now, I can't verify that information, but that's what the Canadian Franchise Association continues to say. And Australia's not too far behind. For a long time, Australia was not a big fan of franchise brands. They looked more for independent rather than the chains. But that's changing and has over the last decade. So there's a lot of opportunity there. But interestingly enough, even between Canada and Australia, there isn't the amount of trade and sharing of franchise brands as you would expect, being both Commonwealth countries with very similar demographics and population metrics. So it is something that I'm working on. I work with a lot of Australian brands that are looking to come to North America and vice versa, Canadian brands and American brands looking to venture into Australia. But now Latin America, the focus here is how do we get some awareness around some of the brands in Latin America and how do we get those brands into Canada or Australia? As Albert mentioned, distance is a challenge. For supply chain, for logistics, all sorts of things, depending on the nature of your franchise system, it can be a challenge and you need the right team, you need the right infrastructure, and all that needs to be in place, and we often counsel our clients in that regard. But let's assume that you have that in place and it's not an obstacle that's stopping you from expanding at this time. There are 3 strategies I wanted to share on the call today that I think they're certainly not new and they're certainly not anything secretive or any kind of rocket science, but there are 3 really good strategies I think that we need to start looking at more in the franchise space. One of them is the pilot store location approach. I know I've got a lot of American clients who want to sell into Canada, and because it's over the border, proximity, as Albert said, they think, oh, that's the very next step, very easy, similar North American culture. And they overlook the fact that Canada, its population is different. It isn't the same as the United States and the American culture. And so they really do need to do the work on the feasibility. And I think 2 things that are overlooked often are feasibility analysis and also corporate tax structuring to make sure that you've got the most tax efficient structure to come into a country. So the feasibility is essentially, it could be anything from a very sophisticated report to something that's just very, very straightforward research on customer or consumer demand, which regions would be best suited for whatever franchise industry that you're in. But I think that feasibility analysis and then setting up the corporate store. So this is how I look at it. I've got some Australian brands and they're looking to enter into Canada. So this could be a Latin American brand and they want to sell a master. And so they're looking to sell the master for, let's say, $150,000 US. There's a challenge there because it's not a known brand, has no brand awareness in Canada. And so it's a big risk for any Canadian group taking on that master right. Alternatively, and I've tried to speak with them and share with them this concept, the pilot store, which is age old, it's the way that many have expanded many, many years ago. If they were to open the pilot store or 1 or 2 in different regions and build the brand awareness, the fee that they could get for a master for any region would be 10 times that amount because it's a proven concept. So I really feel like with Latin American brands, the lack of brand awareness in Canada, one way we could deal with that is a pilot sort of approach, pilot store approach, if they had the means to do that. Another one going a little less and away from fronting up all the money is a joint venture. And I think this is another really good way to do it. You've got the Latin American expertise if it was a brand from Latin America, but you've got the local expertise from the Canadian group and they come together, one to bring the brand, because I think there may be some need for adaptation, maybe not, but bringing the 2 together for profit again, and I don't have time to go into all the details, but there's a lot of advantages to doing it that way as opposed to just selling a master or selling direct. But the last thing I was going to hit on, and you've heard me say brand awareness a number of times. So, what are my thoughts around how to raise awareness about Latin American brands in Canada and Australia? Well, again, as Albert said, being part of the franchise associations in each country, so the Canadian Franchise Association or the Australian Franchise Association are really important things. And whether that's done by way of a group having a representative come and speak. I can get people to speak at the Canadian Franchise Association events once everything is back up and running and COVID is out of the way. That it would not be hard for me. I'm on steering committees and could easily have someone from the FCI group come and speak. They would welcome that kind of opportunity. So that's one. The other one is trade missions. I'm in the process of organizing a number of trade missions with US brands coming, hosting it at my law firm. And it's a very bespoke event, just a handful of people with some potential prospects on the other side, prospective franchisees, groups, private equity, family offices, and just learning more about what kind of brands. And I think it may not be, it may not result in a deal that very time, but it's going to start a brand awareness process that is going to be very valuable down the track. So that, and then finally education. I think that's part of it as well. And so writing articles, and I'm happy to co-write and do things with the FCI group that we can post on social media and other places, so we can start to build that awareness that there are Latin American brands that are worth looking at in Canada and Australia. So that's my presentation.
Andre, wonderful. Thank you very much. It is a privilege to be able to
I think you're
share
muted.
wisdom with all of
No.
you. So thank you very much, Andre. We go now back to Asia, to our friend Marvin Da Silva. And our question for Marvin is as follows. Marvin, do you consider there is or could be an affinity in terms of business and franchising between Latin America and Asia, especially the Philippines, given our shared Spanish ancestry? Marvin, go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you? Philippines, if just to share our history, the longest settlers and colonizers here were this country, Spain. We were colonized for about 333 years to be exact, during the 16th century. And I guess 333 years really made us almost really in our blood and genes. Even my family name is Da Silva. When I researched with my mom because of this conference, my dad has a root from Portugal. So that's why my family name is Da Silva. And I remember during our university years, we were required to speak in Spanish for 2 straight years, because Spanish was part of our official education collegiate curriculum. So, but the biggest influence or contribution still in our daily lives today is the religion. So 110 million people here, almost 97% are Roman Catholics. So I guess we owe the religion, and next is the education. It was the Spanish people who really gave us the foundation for education, and supplemented later on when we were also colonized by the Americans for almost 45, 48 years. So I guess with the culture, it's very deep, very similar because of love for families, very close tight families. We love celebrations here. We also call it fiestas. And since Philippines is composed of almost 7,000 islands, just imagine how do we do all the fiestas in 365 days only in a year for every city or every town. So because of that, food is number one here. So in terms of the franchising world here, almost 55% of the franchising players here are food. So we love food, and there's a joke here that Filipinos eat 5 times a day. Breakfast, in between lunch, in between dinner, and then dinner. But some people, because of the Netflix, even have a second dinner. So if you want to go into business here, I would recommend food. So we love eating, we love pork, we love meat, we love beef, and we really roast here the whole pork. We call it lechon, and it's very, very famous here. And fashion is also, we are very uptrend in terms of fashion. And I guess the Latin America, Asia, and particularly Philippines is mostly influenced by that deep history of being colonized by Spain for more than 300 years. So in terms of business, I'm here through Asia-wide franchise, representing Albert and the rest of the more than 76 partners around the world to really help everybody share the best practices, share opportunities, and promote brotherhood and also fun in doing business. So I hope all of you guys will soon travel to Asia like Philippines when this COVID crisis ends soon than later, sooner than later. Thank you.
Marvin, thank you very much for your words. Really, I can say I'm from Venezuela, and listening to you was like listening to my brother, to my neighbor, to my friend. Even when you use the word lechon, we use the same word here, and so in several of our countries. And you also pointed, you gave a good point. You mentioned your Portuguese ancestry. We are an Iberian American network. That means that it includes Spanish-speaking countries and also Portuguese-speaking countries in America and Europe. So that would be Spain and Portugal, and in our continent, Brazil, and some other smaller countries. So thank you very much. I think there are many good chances of doing business between your country and our continent. So we're going to keep working and talking about that in the future. So now,
Very good.
back to the Americas, I would like to go to the US with our friend Miguel Bravo, which is one of our representatives based out of Miami. Miguel, for American and Latin American franchises, as well as Asian brands that might want to come to the Americas, what should their focus be in order to survive and succeed after a COVID-19 pandemic?
Hi, good morning. Great day to everyone. Good evening. Thanks for watching and listening to us, and thank you for your time. I want to highlight that companies in America certainly are facing important challenges in the near future. And I think that there are fundamental bases that must be cared for and whose needs must be met. I want to name the employees, I want to name the customers, the stakeholders, and also the regulations around the COVID-19. To deal with each one of them, it will require strategies and a lot of emotional intelligence. I think that the first focus are the employees. I'm a firm believer that a well-prepared employee, a well-trained employee with the right knowledge tool, they will take care of our customers. Immediately, after the employees, the businesses have to focus on their customers. And as soon as their restrictions are lifted, the loyal customers will be the first one to access to our products and services. So focus in your loyal customers. To satisfy our employees and our customer, it's necessary to comply with the regulations related to the COVID-19 in each country, each region, and each city. So don't forget, employees and customer feeling safe will express into better business opportunity. So focus in biotechnology. Now let's talk about the stakeholders. We have to find, I think that we have to find smart strategies to deal with our landlord, our shareholders, our partners, and also our franchisees. Each case, I think, must be approached with the right strategy and thinking and negotiating in order to focus on the continuity of the business or the services that we are providing to our customers. I also think that businesses in America must move part of their CapEx, their capital expenditure, that was destined to investment and growth to be able to comply with the new regulations. And above all, dedicate that money in new technology and innovations that allow the brand to distinguish themselves from the competitions and generate new income. So new technology, innovation, and new incomes. I also think that businesses in America must understand that consumer routines have changed and maybe might change forever. Just think about 35, 30, 40 years ago. Would anyone have imagined that the customers were going to eat in their cars? Maybe not. But many food and beverage businesses today rely on drive-through. And a recent example, Starbucks has announced that its business model is going to focus on the drive-through. Closing some stores, opening new stores, focusing in drive-through. So moving fast. And why should I pay more square feet than needed if I could deliver a great brand experience to my customers in another way? So another point of focus, deliver a great brand experience to your customers.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. I feel this short webinar is like a master class, like a postgraduate students with all the information you are providing us. This webinar is going to be, it's being recorded, and it's going to be later posted in our YouTube channel so that you can share and you can repeat viewing these all of this information. Let's go back to Asia. Let's go back to our friend Setapong Parongpisut in Thailand. Seth, what kind of Asian brands do you consider are better prepared to come to Latin America?
Thank you very much for everyone here and all the participants. I'm very glad to talk about the Asian brand. And I believe that when you hear the Asian brand, you might think about the Asian culture and coming with the Asian foods. When you think about the Asians, it's always think about that, right? And recently, most recent, you think about the bubble tea. It seemed like to be the representative of Asian franchise business in the few years. And this is a big thing. You know that this is from Taiwan and maybe from other countries. Thailand also has a Thai tea, Thai milk tea. And when you think about Asian and Thailand especially, I believe that you think about Thai hospitality, Thai food, Thai milk tea, and a Thai spa, Thai massage. According to the statistic that I checking in, the Latin American came to Thailand is not the top 10. By the way, I understand that we have a lot of long relationship together. You may be familiar with the Thai fine dining in many cities in the Latin America, right? And when you think about Thai restaurant, it doesn't have a real brand. It's coming from the Thai people or other country that uses to be the Thai food and Asian food. When we think about that, it's not like that anymore. Thailand, we changing a lot. And we have many QSR, like a quick service restaurant, like and Thai restaurant are ready to go overseas. However, our brand is not strong, it's not famous. And this is what I think is we need to have a good network, like Asia-wide franchise consulting, FCI, we have to work together to show that Thai brands or Asian brand need to come with a big network like here. I'm very glad to talk about the Thai brand today too. If you think about Thai dining, Thai fine dining is quite like traditional way like that. I'm going to tell you that today, most Thai brands are not like that anymore. The business and design concept have been modernized. I hear the first speaker talking about a localized. Yes, I believe that you might not like the food that changing for your taste. You want to have the real Thai food. I believe that if you come to Thailand, you taste the Thai food, it's totally changing your mindset about Thai food. It's not only have a pad Thai or tom yum goong or anything. We have more than that. You may hear the name of Thai Express, right? The Thai Express is the name in the state, but it's not. It doesn't come from Thailand, actually. The Thai Express is originated from Singapore. And I think Albert Kong knows about that very much. After that, the Minor Food Group, Thailand just bought it and changing it and try to make it more authentic Thai food. However, they go overseas and try many things. The problem is about the access to the raw material. Thai food is strong for the ingredient. And if they want to go to Latin America, I checking that the flight is taking around 20 hours. And all the food that we have is not the same thing. So the ingredient is very important. And the way of cooking of Thai food is like art. So it's not easy. However, according to my experience, I'm doing as a consulting to the Thai restaurant and Thai food and Thai hospitality. We're changing a lot. We have a new concept. We're starting to build the brand awareness. And we have like a Thai ingredients that can mixing easy to learn and easy to cook. And you can be like a Thai chef easy. I can tell that other group in Thailand, we have many groups. Same group, we have a Tam Mua. Tam Mua is a Thai Isan food, which is a good brand. And they go just Asia right now to Vietnam, Philippines, to other countries. And I talking to them yesterday, and he say Latin America is the main destination, the most destination for them too, in the USA as well. Thailand also have a street food, Thai street food. Same group, they have Tam Mua, Thai Isan food, and Kieng, Thai street food. Just 1 year, they're expanding for 100 branches. They go to everywhere in Thailand, nationwide, changing the new concept for the quick service restaurant. It's easy. We have another group, it's called a Central Restaurant Group. Already also starting using Thai street food. Another group is Coca group. We have a mango tree, we have mango tree grab and go, we have a Coca Suki, mango tree and Thai eateries. And by the way, Latin America is their focus to go. I believe that sooner or later, you will see a lot of things from Thailand as what I see in Thailand as well, that Mexican company like Kidsonia of entertainment invest in Thailand, very, very successful here. And another one is AJ Thai is, I'm not sure it's a Peru company or not. They using they choose Thailand as a base for the production of big cola, which is very nice. I can tell that the opportunity for Latin America is very good opportunity for Thai brand to going there. However, we need to think about building the brand awareness, access to the raw material, supply chain management. A long distance will be shorter if we have a good network like what we have today. This is what I have today.
Thank you very much. Seth. You have opened our eyes as well as the other guests. So thank you very much. Now I go back to Albert with a final question for you, Albert. And I would like to remind you, you have 5 minutes so that we can say in schedule. Albert, the question for you is, what kind of Latin American brands could be of interest for Asian markets?
Okay, I'm gonna need to show again my slides.
Okay. Yes, you can do so now.
Okay. Now I want to emphasize.
We are not seeing your slides, okay? Not yet.
Not yet?
No, remember to share screen at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, one more time. Hang on. Share screen. Share screen.
Yes, it's coming now. Okay, remember to put it in slide mode.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back to basics because in my 31 years doing consulting, I never failed to emphasize the importance of going back to basics. You know, whether it is a brand from Latin America or from Asia or from Europe, it doesn't run away from this need to really ask yourself about the piece. For example, you know, this Latin American brand, what kind of product or service, you know, is it providing? You know, clearly, if let's say you want to bring a Latin American food that has a lot of pork in it, then it's very hard for you to go into a very Islamic country like Indonesia. Okay, so maybe in Singapore there are, you know, lesser Muslims, so you still have a chance. But if you go to, you know, Malaysia or Indonesia, where, you know, they want it to be halal certified, but yours is, let's say, barbecue pork like lachong, then you may not have a market there, right? So it's very basic, right? Another one is, for example, even pricing. I'm sure many of you know that in Saudi Arabia, you know, there's this really expensive perfume, which is very popular amongst the rich sheikhs and, you know, the rich people. So when you try to go to Indonesia, they find that the market is very small because only a small section of Indonesians can afford that kind of perfume, you know. So it's pricing itself out of the market, right? Another P is very clear place. You know, if you know this Swiss brand, Swiss restaurant called Marché, their concept involves a lot of stations, you know, from salad stations to desserts to seafood to, you know, coffee to beer and what have you. And they put the cable cars everywhere to give the impression that you are in a ski resort. So again, if you have this kind of concept, it's very hard for you to go to a country or a city like Hong Kong because the rentals will kill you, right? You know, promotion. Again, give you an example. You know, if you come up with a name that sounds vulgar, you know, for example, Subway in the Fujian dialect actually sounds like shit, you know. So it is offensive. It's hard. So, like I said, you know, what is important is what are you providing? If the basics are not right, you know, for example, let's say, just give an example. If let's say I'm a Latin American and I run a really nice cafe, okay, serving Latin American food, and my concept is it revolves around a lot of Mother Mary's statues, okay? You walk in to the cafe, it gives you a very serene feeling because why? You see a lot of Mother Mary and baby Jesus pictures and statues everywhere. So to the Catholics, it's fine. But if you were to try to open this kind of restaurant in a Muslim country, let's say in Malaysia or in Brunei, no way. they won't walk in, because to them, you know, they will be offending their God, Allah, you know. So a lot of small things, but the basics, right? So what I will say that, you know, Latin American brands that want to come to Asia, I will ask myself, I say, okay, number one, is the product something I want? Number two, is it within, you know, the big segment of the population, the pricing? You know, can they find the right location? How are they going to promote it? You know, and personally, me and my family, my children, they are all very particular about how you package. If you have a lot of plastic in it, you know, we think that you are not green enough. You know, we try not to patronize you. You know, and there are more and more and more such people, young people especially. They are very conscious of the environment. You know, so things like that. Okay. So again, I already gave an example of what I call a negative example. You know, meaning a cafe that is very Latin American, but culturally and religiously, it may be a problem. Okay. Now I'm gonna share the next slide. I think it's also important for our friends, not just in Latin America, but anywhere around the world, to know that there is this trend which has been accepted by many people, that the modern consumer, they want simplicity. They want things to be too complicated. Okay, they want speed. You know, no thanks to our mobile phone, you know, and our emails. People are very impatient. If I send you an email and you don't reply within 24 hours, you know, I might not want to give you the business. You know, so people are very impatient. And then immortality factor, people want to live forever. You know, now they want to make sure that what they put in their body, you know, is good for them, is healthy for them, because, which is why a lot of, you know, beauty parlors and spas are still doing very well, because as long as you give the impression that your customers can live longer, you know, and their health are better, which is why a lot of gyms are doing well, because people want to live forever if possible, right? And of course, the next one is about technology. You know, you have to follow up. You have to follow the technology. If everybody is, you know, using WhatsApp or using all sorts of e-commerce, you know, and using all sorts of last mile delivery, even drones, you know, you can't say I don't care. You know, another one is trust. You know. So I have a client, he said that, and he do a steak business. People asked him, where are your beef steak coming from? If you say Australia, which Australian farm? You know, they want to know everything. They want to know the origin of the steak, where it was slaughtered. Is it an approved slaughterhouse? How was the cow fat? Is it free range? You know, etc., etc., etc. So the trust is very important. And then finally, green consumerism, which I touched on just now. Yeah. So I think what I'm trying to say is, for Latin American brands to be successful, they need to go back to basics. They need to be aware of the trends and the expectations of people. All the more with COVID-19 pandemic, people are very conscious of health and hygienes. So all this must be factored in. Okay, I stop here. Thank you.
Wonderful, Albert. Thank you very much. Please remember to stop sharing your screen.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So we have one last question for the whole panel. I would like to remember you to please be very, very brief, no more than 2 minutes, in order to stay on schedule. We are going for almost an hour, and I would like to ask the audience to bear with us, because this information has been very, very useful. So the question for all our guests is the next one. What do you think are the trends that will dominate the franchising business for the foreseeable future? Let's start with you, Albert.
Okay, so this is my 2 cents worth, okay, from my own observation and my own reading all sorts of media. I think things related to health, okay, will be very popular, you know, because people want to be healthy, all right? So if you can come up with food that is good for people, you know, and you can, of course, gain the trust of people that all the ingredients and all the farmers and the processors are all good, I think there's something there. Secondly, I think that things related to saving time will be very good, you know, because like I said, no thanks to the internet and technology, people are impatient. So especially in developed countries, especially when more and more families have father, mother, all working, and they don't have time to do a lot of things, if you are able to come up with services or, you know, even pre-cooked food to help them save time, you know, it will be great. And finally, there are many more, but finally, I think things related to old people will also be very good, because it's not just China or America or Japan or Korea having aging population. Because of the lifestyle, and no thanks to Netflix and Hollywood, young people don't want to have children. And that means more and more people are becoming older and older. The society becomes very old, you know. So services related to old people, I think there'll be a lot of potential. Okay, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Let's go to Miguel. Miguel, what do you think about the trends that will dominate franchising?
Okay, I want to resume my approach to first, this global crisis has certainly fueled changes that were already taking place in businesses. So if we were jogging, now we must run. Second, active social networks, moving and calling to a purchase action. Likes don't mean money, remember that. Third, don't forget that customer routines have changed. And the brand must connect and reinforce the message to their customers with an off-premise experience in mind. Don't forget that. Focus on off-premise. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Miguel. Let's go to Thailand with Seth.
Yes, the trend for here, I believe that new normal is the key to all the business now. And when you think about the franchising, the value of money and time is the key for the investor and also the franchisor. They think that the value to invest, I hear today some of clients that talking today, they say they need to focus about the plan and operation internally. They need to understand that how to communicate with the franchisee. During the risk or any crisis, because of 2 months, making them to understand that when they have not prepared the situation, it has something has problem. So the communication with the technology is very important. Now, Thailand learned to work from home, and many clients that doing the franchise, they don't go to the office, they're changing the shift. So the value of money and time is very efficiency. Technology is more important to all business. This I agree to Albert, talking about the speed and simplicity is very important. Thank you for having me too.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you very much. Let's go to our brother Marvin in the Philippines. Marvin, remember to unmute your microphone.
For the Philippines, I would love to encourage everybody to explore the opportunities here. the thing that I would like to recommend here is a very strong middle class market. 45 million out of the 110 million are really increasing the disposable income and consumer spending habit. So if you could focus on a particular market segment here, that is a very, very strong high spending market. So because of COVID, there's a very big opportunity also for technology services of converting and helping retailers from the manualization to the digital transformation. We are behind in terms of that technology here, but this is the right time that if you are in that industry, come to the Philippines and you have lots of clients to help the people and small businesses who would want to transform their business into digital and e-commerce. And next is the logistics and deliveries, the convenience of the delivering from customer to the product, because people now are looking for value for money services, and that's a very, very big opportunity. And last thing about, I made a short research about Latin America. It's the habit of snacking. Food snacking is very big in the Philippines. When I saw your Wikipedia, like I read arepa, tortillas, tajadas, tacos, empanadas. Oh my God, they will really click here. You know, just bring them here and put them in all the malls. You know, and we are mall lover people. The Filipinos loves going to mall. We spend 4 hours on average a day inside a mall, and please visit us here as soon as you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. Listening to you, like I said, is like listening to a long-lost brother. So thank you very much. I think this merits a second webinar and a work meeting soon to
Yes.
to explore opportunities of doing business. Okay, let's go back to the great northern country of Canada with Andre. Andre, what can you tell us about your vision for the trends in franchising in the next few months and years?
Yeah, so I mean, I echo a lot of the sentiments already shared in different parts of the world, but I think one thing I'm seeing clearly and very acutely in Canada is a shift to online and increased technology in various businesses, and I think that's going to continue. It was somewhat beginning beforehand. One example is the fitness industry. There were a lot of online training sessions. Even before COVID-19, a lot of them were going to online platforms and wrestling with how they bring that into the franchise. You know, is it logins or registrations in a particular region, how you track that, how the remuneration or the revenue is split between franchisor and franchisee for that online content. And that's just continued. One of my main clients, F45, is doing online training, but now at the moment has made free classes available. But they're going to obviously have to do something with that at some point. So online technology is big. Again, there was a move away from bricks and mortar type businesses, and I think now that will continue, notwithstanding that there is, as many people have seen, great opportunities in real estate because of the COVID-19 and some of the unfortunate events of businesses going out of business. But nonetheless, there'll still be a trend, I think, away from bricks and mortar. So there'll be a double win for franchisors with less space and lower costs, we're hoping, in Canada. And finally, the continued trend of health and fitness, aged and children services. Those are very key industries that are growing and I think will continue to grow post-COVID-19.
Wonderful, Andre. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Alfonso, please share with us your vision for the trends in franchising.
Well, Abel, I think that the biggest trend is going to be the experience of the concept. I think that the trend is going to be based on the experience that the concept can offer to the consumers more than even the products or the service. So we have to find, for example, in Latin America, what experience we can offer to Asian people different than they already have there. We have to stop competing trying to be stronger than they are already in their concept. For example, burgers, hot dogs. We have amazing concepts and amazing products that we can bring to Asia for the first time. For example, the beauty concept, the beauty industry, the spas, beauty salons, barber shops, fitness that we are really good in, dance academies. Asian people would love to dance merengue and salsa. Let's stop to try to compete with rock and roll dancing. They are already good on it, and Americans as well. We have to be different to make experience.
Well, I think Alfonso connection just failed. So let's give him a few seconds so that he can come back. Yes, Albert, are you listening to me? Please confirm. Okay, thank you. So it was Alfonso's connection. His words were wonderful. Let's give him a few seconds. And I want to take the opportunity to bring us to the closing, giving chance to Alfonso to come back. I want to thank Albert Kong, CEO of Asia-wide Franchise Consultants, Miguel Bravo, FCI Miami, Setapong from Thailand, the representative of AFC from Thailand, Marvin from the Philippines, my new brother from another mother, Andre from Canada, and of course, Alfonso from Venezuela. To all our friends in the audience, I want to apologize. There are several questions, but I think we are over the time. So yes, Alfonso, you're back.
Back here. I was just finishing. The Latin American franchise that has more open store in Asia is from Cuba. La Casa del Habano, the House of the Habano, even coming from the most communist country in the world, because they found a different product to bring you an experience. They have more than 50 stores open in more than 10 countries in Asia. Let's do the same job to bring different experience, Latin experience, to Asian people.
Alfonso, thank you very much. Words of wisdom. As I was saying to all our audiences, my deepest gratitude from all of us here at Front Consulting International, FCI, and also from our friends at Asia-wide Franchise Consultants. We have a lot of friends from Asia in the audience. I want to thank you all. I want to salute you. I think this webinar has opened a new door, a load of opportunities, potential opportunities for us to make business together. So I hope looking to the future, we can work on the integration of our several beautiful cultures. We are just one world. We are just one race, one people, and business, franchising, and food and culture can make us closer together. So to all of you, in the chat section, I post my email so you can forward your questions, and I commit to you that I will forward to each and every one of our speakers today and give you the answers. I apologize because we cannot make all the questions. We are over an hour of duration of this webinar, and I know you all are busy and have a lot of things to do. Our friends in Asia, it's late night there. So once again, thank you all. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks with a similar webinar in English language, focusing on the relationship between Latin America, the Americas, and Europe. Before we go, I would like to ask all of you to turn on your cameras to take a global picture, a virtual selfie. And while you turn on your cameras, I would like to finish inviting you to follow us in our social media, especially Instagram and YouTube, where you can find us as Front Consulting International. Please subscribe. Please follow us on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube, and you will see this webinar posted in a few days. So thank you very much, everybody. Greetings to all our good friends in Europe, in Asia, our FCI partners, our AFC partners. Thank you very much, all of you. Goodbye.